My friends, this is one of the weirdest backpacking stoves that I've come across in a really long time. My name is Luke, this is the Outdoor Gear Review. Thank you all very much for tuning in. What I have here is the WADEO, that's my guess on how to pronounce this, the WADEO 7200 watt backpacking stove. By the way, 7200 watts translates to, get this, 24,567 BTUs. 24,567 BTUs from 3 burner heads. This is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful backpacking stoves I've ever used, I've ever tested. It is truly something else. To give you all a little peek as to what's strange about this stove, there's 4 different versions of this stove. They're almost identical except for one. It's a weird situation, everybody. It really is. So make sure to stay tuned because I'm about to go over every single detail concerning this stove here. I've been testing this out for, I don't know, 6 months-ish, something like that. And I can tell you all, the performance is off the charts. There's a ton of versatility here, but ultimately, I do not recommend it. This, everyone, is my agenda-free review of the WADEO 7200 backpacking stove. This truly is an oddity. Again, at one point, it's impressive. The next point, it's weird. The next point, it's dangerous. First things first, folks, let's start here with the storage case. And I have to say, this storage case is super nice. It is quite robust for such an inexpensive stove. It's interesting to me. The company spared no expense when it comes to the materials of the stove or to the storage case. But yet, they didn't even print their logo on this. They just put a sticker on here. I have amazing self-control, obviously, because I have not torn this off in like 6 months, and I've been dying to. Now that I'm filming my review for this stove, let's go ahead and tear this off. This is gonna feel so good. Oh yes. That was fantastic, everyone. It's amazing to me that the company spared no expense when it comes to the storage case, when it comes to the stove, but yet they didn't print their logo on there. They just put this cheap sticker on there. Anyways, with that sticker gone, let's talk about the storage case here. So this is made from a polyester that has a very stiff insert on the inside. We have a grab handle here. We have 2-way zippers with rubber zipper pulls, very high quality. Opening up the case reveals the stove. And again, everyone, we have a very thick liner on the inside of this case. It is surprisingly robust. We have the stove here, and we also have 2 fuel adapters. With the stove here, you could see that this is a big boy. At the same time, I could tell you that while it's heavy, it's not crazy heavy. This is still light enough that you could go backpacking with this, no problem. You can see the 3 burner heads. We also have the electronic igniter there. We have 3 pot supports with very aggressive jimping. Take a look here, folks, at the wall for this stove. All of this is made from bronze, and it is incredibly thick. From here, we can open up the legs and lock them into place. Folks, these legs are super, super tight. They are so tight that it feels like you're either going to hurt yourself or break this stove. I've never done either, but it definitely does not feel safe. Here we have the fuel hose. This is how you connect to the fuel canister, and we also have the fuel adjuster here. Down at the bottom, we have the electronic igniter switch. And take a look at this. We have a huge piece of brass. And then we have this plate. It appears to be of some type of stone, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. Down at the bottom, we do have rubberized feet so that this stove does not slide around. In a nutshell, that is the stove. Now let's focus on the adapters that are included. We have a propane adapter, and we also have a butane adapter. Both of these are included with this stove. Out of the box, this stove is designed to run on isobutane, but with these adapters, you can run this basically on anything that you want to, including propane, which is very impressive. Did you all see what happened there? This stove boiled 2 cups of water in less than 1 minute and 22 seconds. And that's not even the fastest boil time I've ever achieved with this stove. I've boiled 2 cups of water in under a minute with this in really good conditions. This is, without a doubt, the most powerful canister stove I've ever tested. Ever. I mean, it's not even close. That is one of the impressive aspects to this system. Next is the fact that it runs on just about anything. Isobutane, propane, and butane. That's pretty incredible. Most stoves are designed to run on one fuel, some maybe 2. Rarely do you see stoves that are designed to run on 3 types of fuel. Before going any further, let's take a second here and let's go over the stats. When it's stored, it is 6 inches by 6 inches and it's roughly 4 inches deep. When the stove is set up, it is 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches and it's 3 inches deep. The primary materials for this stove are aluminum and brass. There is some rubber and we have a polyester case. The weight of the stove itself is only 13.3 ounces. The weight of the stove in the case is 17.1 ounces. The weight of the entire kit with both adapters, 19.7 ounces on my scale. Now everyone, let's talk about the weird aspect concerning this stove. There's not 1, not 2, not 3, there are 4 different versions of this stove with 5 different purchase options. So check this out everybody, this is really strange. We have the 24,567 BTU stove, the one that you see here. There is also a 23,202 BTU version. There's also a 19,790 BTU version. And get this, there's a 3,070 BTU version. All of these are priced differently, but they are very close to each other in terms of price. The most powerful version that you see here runs $40 retail. The step down version, which is 23,202 BTUs, that is $33. The 19,790 is $24, and the 3,070 is $20. Additionally, there is a version of this stove here that you could purchase with a cook set. That includes pots, cutlery, and so on. That runs $51. Now it's time to go over my impressions of this stove here after testing this out for a couple of months. Right off the bat, the build quality is very good with this stove. None of the edges are sharp, nothing like that. It's a well-made product. And the quality of the materials is very good here. The storage case is awesome, extremely well made, and it offers a lot of protection for this stove. Powerful? Hell yeah, this is the most powerful stove I have ever tested out, with the fastest boil times I've ever seen by a country mile, folks. I mean, it's not even close. Without a doubt, this is a powerful stove. Luckily, you can dial that back, you could simmer. This is a fantastic stove to cook on because it offers you a ton of versatility, not only with the fuel types, but also with what you can do with this stove. I mean, you can boil water, you can cook large meals, and you can also simmer it back if you want to reduce something. Again, you have a lot of control here, a lot of versatility. Being able to run any type of fuel that you want to with this stove gives you a lot of versatility as well. You can run butane in the summertime because it's so inexpensive. When it starts cooling down, you can switch over to isobutane. When it gets cold, you can run propane. Again, everyone, this type of versatility is reserved for very few stoves. Not many allow you to run all of the different types of fuel. The igniter works extremely well, and I've never had it not fire up the first time. The rubber feet do a fantastic job of keeping this stove where it needs to be. It does not slide around at all. Next, everyone, because of the size of this stove and the placement of the legs, it is extremely stable. I've never had this tip over or even want to tip over. This stove is extremely durable. The company used very good high quality materials with this stove, and it's quite heavy duty. With all of my testing, I've had no issues as far as that goes. As far as the weight goes, it's not bad, right? This is not an ultralight stove, but it's not super heavy either, which makes all of the con aspects that much more frustrating because this stove has so much going for it, but ultimately, I have a hard time recommending it because it's dangerous. And yes, folks, that is a con for this stove, switching over to the cons. As you have seen, this stove is incredibly powerful, so with all of that power comes an incredible amount of heat. Factor that in with the point that this stove was made primarily with brass. You may know this, you may not, but brass features a very low thermal conductivity rating compared to other metals such as copper and aluminum. So once it gets hot, it stays hot for a very long period of time. It holds onto that heat and it does not let it go. So you fire this stove up, as I mentioned, as you've seen, it is crazy powerful, right? That brass gets so hot. I mean, even now, I can't touch that stove. It's still too hot. How hot? Hot enough to give you a really, really nice burn. And when I say nice, I mean awful. I'm not sure why I said nice, but you know what I mean. Anyways, at the same time, the bottom of the stove, which is also made from brass, gets crazy hot. So hot, I'd be concerned about placing this like on a kitchen table or like a backpacking table that's made from polyester or nylon. It's so hot, there's a good potential that it could melt it. This stove gets so hot, it could potentially catch the ground on fire. I've not had that happen. But again, folks, it is so hot, it is a concern of mine. When I first purchased this stove, I went out on a trip, fired it up for the first time. I didn't realize that it was going to retain so much heat. So I fired up, made coffee, I was sitting there, had coffee, and went to break it down. And I grabbed that stove instantly, like, oh my God, this thing is still that hot after this long. I mean, it's incredible. This, everyone, is the dangerous aspect that I mentioned concerning this stove. It is something where you really, really have to be careful, especially if you're around like other individuals, maybe children, those who aren't experienced with this type of equipment. They can get hurt very, very easily. So it's one of those things, like if you decide to purchase this stove, which I wouldn't blame you, it is impressive in its own way, you need to be prepared, right? You need to remember it gets so hot that if somebody else doesn't know not to touch it, they could get burned. So folks, seriously, this stove is powerful and it gets raging hot. Some additional cons that I have for this stove are relatively minor. For one, it's not ultralight, it's kind of heavy, but not super heavy. Two, it's not compact at all. This does take up quite a bit of space inside of your cook kit, which will then take up quite a bit of space inside of your backpack. The windscreen feature on this stove works somewhat. In windy situations, you will need something more substantial. You do have to be careful though. If you're going to use a windscreen with this stove, make sure to keep it a far distance away from the stove, because this stove puts out a ton of heat. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to melt something on this stove. 4, not only is this stove powerful, not only does it put out a ton of heat, it also makes a ton of noise. This stove is super loud, virtually all the time, unless you're simmering at a very low level. The last con that I have for this stove are the pot supports. They are relatively far apart from each other, meaning small cups, small pots will not work on top of this. You can see here that my kettle fits perfectly. A medium-sized pan will fit perfectly, but a small-sized cup will not fit on this stove. And right there you have it, everybody. Those are the pros and cons that I have for the 7200 watt version of the WADEO stove. I mean, it is incredibly powerful. I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. But at the same time, the cons, right? The fact that it gets so hot, stays so hot. There's the burn risk. There's the fire risk because the bottom gets so hot. It is something that needs to be considered. When it comes to outdoor stoves, camping stoves, backpacking stoves, I say this all the time. The ultimate performance of the stove, as far as like the BTUs go, as far as like the boil times go, it doesn't really matter, right? Most people do not care about the difference between boiling water in 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It just does not make that big of a deal. As long as you can cook the meal that you want to cook, you can make coffee, as long as the stove is somewhat fuel efficient, as long as the stove doesn't break down and it ignites every single time, that's what people are looking for. Yes, being able to flash boil 2 cups of water in around 1 minute is very impressive, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean a whole lot. But what does is safety. And with this stove here, it is simply not safe. You really do have to keep in mind, it's gonna put out a ton of heat. It's gonna get super hot. It's gonna stay hot for a long time. So if you're someone who wants to get their stove out, set it up, make a cup of coffee, put it away and go, it's all about time for you. This is not the stove for you, because you're gonna set up that stove, you're gonna use it, it's not gonna take long, but it's gonna stay hot for a very long time. Because this is not the type of stove that you wanna put up after you use it. It has to cool down. If you put it inside of the storage case and it's hot, it's gonna melt it. So you have to be careful. And with all of that being said, folks, what an interesting product. You know what I mean? What an interesting company. Why do they have so many different versions of this stove? 3 of them are almost the same as far as BTUs go. The 4th one is a major difference, right? 19,000 to 3,000 BTUs, what a jump right there, you know what I mean? I can tell you why the company has so many versions of this stove, and it's obvious. They're flooding the market with products. To have this many products on, Amazon and so on, there has to be a difference between each one of these so that they can have different listings. So with this stove here, there's 4 different versions and we have 4 different listings. This is something a lot of companies do, and it's all about flooding the market. That way, when you go out looking for a backpacking stove, you see this one, this one, this one, and this one. They're all from the same company. They all look exactly alike. And they're also priced very similarly. It's all about getting in front of your eyes to influence a purchase. It's not about providing a ton of different options, because there's very little difference between 19,000 BTUs and 24,000 BTUs. There is a big difference between 3,000 BTUs and 24,000 though, All in all, this is a very interesting stove. Interesting, powerful, and dangerous. Folks, comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about this stove? It is a true oddity. Just so you know, this has been an agenda-free review of this stove here. I don't care if you purchase it. I bought it with my own money, and I'm sharing my thoughts. In the end, I don't think you should purchase this stove, but ultimately, the decision is yours. I've given you all the information that you need to make an educated decision. So folks, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care, be well, strength and honor. See ya.